Let's take a look at how the Doomguard armies go about doing what it is that they do. First thing we'll show off is a whole bunch of multicolored inverted pyramid things. These are the player controllable characters that you'll eventually be able to, well, if you want, you can grab all of them, but you start off with only 4. But we'll come back to those later on. For the moment, I want to focus on this one Doomguard army guy right up at the enemy home base. The Doomguard armies can have one of 4 different order types, and we're going to look at the first one, Follow. All it tries to do is move towards the location that the target character is currently at, and that is this guy down over here. We'll worry about who it is at some other point. So let's take a look at how he goes about doing that. Every turn means the army moves 3 squares if it can, and it moves slower over more rugged terrain. What it'll try and do is move in the general direction of where it needs to go, but sometimes it'll throw in a wiggle randomly, and that leads to it moving in a lot more unpredictably from game to game. Here we can see it gets around this entire mountain range and then ends up wandering into this forest, at which point it runs into one of the playable control characters and then has a fight. The first round didn't go so well. The army lost half of its troops while the good guys lost about 5%. One more turn is all it takes and this army is dead. Let's give the army another chance and let's see how they fare this time. This time around he's managed to skirt over the mountain range, and in a moment he'll get himself to another player character. Now this is a Dragon Lord. He doesn't have any troops, but he managed to kill half the army in one go. Well done him. And a couple of turns more ends it for the army. Player characters won't always have troops with them, and generally that's either because they're meant to be fairly weak and hide and sneak around the place, or they're brutally hard like the Dragon Lord is. Let's give the guy one more chance, and this time he's going to skirt right in between those player characters and get towards that little white square. Now that's a keep that is guarded by player friendly units, and if he gets within a square of anything interesting like that, whether it's a keep like that or it's a player character, he will automatically try and fight. And that's what he's doing here, and he kicks some ass and wins. But at that point his orders then take over again and he moves towards the player character. Unfortunately he runs into someone else in the forest and dies. That's enough for the follow orders. Let's try the next one, Route. Now this one means that the player character is supposed to go to a particular location, at which point they will choose from one of 2 other locations to then go towards. If you look at it in the editor view, we've got a debug wireframey thingy of the route map, and that's really all it is. Just go from location to location to location, picking randomly. There's no real sort of goal or anything going on here. This guy just going about his duty ends up dying over in this corner. I'm not going to show the other 2 order types. The first one of that is Go To, which is basically exactly the same as the riding one. They'll have a particular location that they'll always try to head towards, but the difference is that location is always the same as the one that they're spawned on, so they never actually really move. They'll only go there if they're not already there, or the location doesn't have any friendly units in it. And what that means is if a player character goes past and aggroes that army and they end up killing them, they will just wait around where they are until a player character goes into the keep that they respawned at, and then they will try and retreat and go and try and take the place back. Blah blah blah. The final order type is Wander, which is exactly how it sounds. They just pick a random location and just go wandering, and if they see anything on the way to fight, they will. And now finally, let's have a look at what happens when we just run the battle with all 100 and something army guys just wandering around and doing their thing. Only a few turns in and we've already got a bunch of battles. There's usually always one at the Keep of Blood. Quite a lot of the troops are set to follow specific characters. There's 2 in particular that end up getting followed, and those are the 2 principal sort of player characters, 2 of the 4 that you start off with, but there are other ones scattered around. And some of the armies will head towards them, some of them just follow the routes, so on and so on. Eventually, just via attrition, they end up either dying off, or if you look at these player characters over here, you can see them moving around. Now that means whenever the player character loses a battle, they end up getting shifted away 1 random tile.